Greetings viewers, Night here, with another video for all of you. So last month, I am just now remembering I wrote this script all the way back in December. A few months ago, the thought of giving Digimon Pokemon types came to me, and for full transparency, Lockston from Noggin has done several of these videos in the past, so I figured I would try it for myself for fun and to see how I do at it. So, in no particular order, let's proceed. Rock and ground. I'm grouping these two types together because, quite frankly, there doesn't seem to be any difference between rock and ground types, other than ground being immune to electricity. Nixamon actually avoided this confusion by making mineral types, but on to what Pokemon types I would give Digimon. Gatsumon and Gullimon would obviously be rock types, due to them being, well, sentient rocks. Golemon in particular is based on the golem, which are creatures usually depicted being made out of rock or hard clay that carry out the will of their creator, and in the anime, Golemon are just that. Creatures created to mindlessly carry out orders, usually by a villain. Fun fact, there's another character called Golemon, based on data on rocks, even though it doesn't look rocky at all, despite localization changing its name to Rockmon when the model appeared in PlayStation games over here in the West, and I'm not sure why they went with that and didn't just call it something else. Ancient Volcamon is literally a walking volcanic meteorite, so would be a rock fire type. I'm gonna say that Monochromon and Triceramon would be rock dragon types, due to being based on dinosaurs with hard thick shells, plus Monochromon is an evolved form of Gatsumon. Another dinosaur Digimon who would be a rock type would be Ankytomon, who's based on an Ankylosaurus. He could probably pass as a rock steel type due to his tail being a literal mace. Pre-evolution Armadillomon would obviously be a ground type due to being based on Armadillo, due to having sharp claws to dig through the earth, and a strong eye with which to protect himself. Grumblemon, or Grottomon as he's known in Japanese, would also be a ground type. I think his inspiration is those old tales of goblins who would hang out in mines and cause trouble for miners. His evolved form Gigasmon always left me with the impression that whoever designed him took elements of a mole, an ape, and a rhinoceros, and fused them all together into a monster with rocky skin. Maybe he would be ground fighting? Last with this category, we have Germontamon, who I'd type as ground steel, due to having drills for claws and a drill-eyed face. I guess Prairiemon would count as that typing too, since not only are prairie dogs known for digging a huge system of tunnels, but the mon itself has huge metal gauntlets with razor-sharp claws. Ice. Well, a no-brainer would be Icemon, which is basically just a recutter of Gatsumon. But another obvious ice type would be Frigimon, which is a polar bear snowman. Then we have Hyogamon, an ice-themed ogre, which is odd, because I don't remember any stories about ogres being in snowy areas. Now, maybe there are, but I've yet to hear any. Maybe Hyogamon came from the ninth circle of hell, which, according to Dante's Inferno, is a frozen wasteland, rather than being consumed by flames. Mammothmon could be an ice type because it blows frigid winds out of its trunk for an attack. Plus, mammoths are well known for being discovered in huge chunks of ice, and having lived in areas where it would have been freezing. Kumamon and Korikakumon would be ice types, Kumamon being a polar bear cub that fires ice out of a napalm, and Korikakumon being a giant snow beast. Frost Velgamon would be ice flying. Like Articuno, it appears to lost travelers on frigid mountains and saves those it deems worthy. Unlike Articuno though, it freezes those with unworthy hearts to death. Fire! Miramon, Blue Miramon, Demi Miramon, Larizamon, and Dark Rizamon would all be fire types either due to being made of fire or cloaked in flames. Skillamiramon would probably be fire steel, because while he does have a brand new flesh and blood body, he's still covered in flames and has an iron face mask. Ognimon would probably be a firefighting type due to being a warrior of fire in the franchise's lore. Plus, he kind of shares the color scheme of Blaziken and Infernape destiny. The mascot of the franchise, Agumon, would be fire due to his signature attack, Pepper Breath. His evolutions, Greymon, Tarimon, and Geogreymon, would all be Fire Dragon, as would Guilmon and Growlmon, who are rather dragony looking dinosaurs. Steel. Oh, there are so many machines, cyborg, and android Digimon who would qualify to be steel types. Just a few examples are Andromon, Hagurumon, Mechanorimon, and Garderbon. Hagurumon is obvious because, well, it's a gear. Garderbon is a robot that literally guards a facility. Mechanorimon is just a machine piloted by someone in its cockpit. And Andromon looks like an unfinished android before being upgraded to High Andromon. I'd give it the typing of Fighting Steel. Like the average Nightmon, it's pre-evolved form Gladamon, which is basically just a tiny little soldier trying his best to prove himself, and the Royal Knights. Other Digimon that would fit the Fighting Steel type would be Tankamon, a literal tank, and Metalledamon, grass. Yokomon, Tanamon, Leafmon, Palmon, Flormon, Vegemon, Red Vegemon, Blossomon, and Sunflowmon would all be grass types. Vegemon and Red Vegemon resemble bell peppers and chili peppers, while Floramon, Blossomon, and Sunflowmon are just basic flowers. Palmon is probably based on the Mandrake, just without the deadly screaming part. Togemon would be grass fighting due to being a cactus with boxing gloves. Panchamon would be ghost grass due to one of its classifications being a ghost Digimon and resembling a ghostly Togemon. Plus, the 2020 reboot anime introduces it as an alternate evolved form of Palmon. Lilymon and Linemon would be grass fairy due to both being fairies with plant traits. Linemon more than Lilymon, since she's just a fairy fused with a flower. Or is she a flower fused with a fairy? Either way, I know there's someone out there who has her as a waifu. Same thing with Rosemon, Loosemon, and Rafflesiamon. Poison. Due to being portrayed as disgusting, gross Digimon that hang out in sewers, Numemon and Garamon would be poison types. I guess Tsukumon would be a poison type too, since it's basically just a sentient... yeah. Raremon, who I imagine many accused of being a ripoff of Muck, would definitely be a poison type due to being a rotting, decomposing mound of flesh and machinery. There's also Garbagemon, who likewise is an embodiment of pollution. Well, really it's meant to be the waste bin on your desktop, but you know what I'm getting at. I legit can't believe I forgot this when I was originally scripting. But Sandiramon would be a poison type due to being a venomous snake and his signature attack literally being Venomax. Fairy. Obvious candidates for this typing would be Piximon, Kazimon, and Tinkermon. They're all basically classified as fairy Digimon. Plus, Kazimon is just called Fairymon in Japanese, and it should be pretty obvious what Tinkermon is based on. Would it be blasphemous to count angels as fairies? I mean, there's no light type in Pokemon, and angel Digimon like Angemon, Angelwomon, and Aphaniemon would count as that type, but fairies the closest thing we've got. I mean, Yugo gets to have light as a type, and it gets away with classifying its angels as fairies. Dark. Due to being fallen angels and demons, Devimon, Lady Devimon, Shadow Seraphimon, and Mephistomon would be dark type. Demi Devimon would be flying dark type, since not only is it based on bats and Devimon's rookie stage, but it serves other evil Digimon and spreads spiteful little lies. Viamon are spiteful, ugly little demon gargoyle things, so dark type. Lilithmon would be a dark type due to being based on the deadly sin of lust, and Lilith, Adam's first wife, who appears as an antagonist in a few Jewish folktales. Actually, all of the demon lords could be dark type due to representing a sin. Fallen mode, pride. Leviamon, envy. Daemon, wrath. Which is odd because you'd assume that Belphamon would be wrath, but no, he represents lust due to being in his sleep mode most of the time. Sloth, I meant sloth. Barbamon, greed, and Beelzemon, gluttony. Localization changes Lilithmon's name to Letamon, though it still works because Leta means dark beauty, which she is. Myotismon, dark type, obviously due to being a vampire. Plus, he is one of the most infamous villains in the anime. Fangmon are born from the data of the Big Bad Wolf, and like their inspiration, mimic the appearances of those close to their intended prey. Although in Fangmon's case, they can actually physically transform. Like Demidevimon, Pipismon, and Owlmon would be dark flying, though it's more because Pipismon are based on actual bats, and Owlmon has night vision goggles for eyes. Oh, there's also Omegamon Zwart D. Basically, an Omegamon that was infected with a virus that corrupted his programming so badly that it altered his appearance and causes him to view everyone around him as an enemy. Yeah, pretty dark, huh? Ghost. The rather obscure Ghostmon is a no-brainer. A shy little Digimon, this little guy just wants to make friends. Bakumon and Soulmon would probably be dark ghost type, due to Bakumon often being portrayed as villains and villainous henchmen in the anime. And in the 2020 reboot of the anime, Soulmon are portrayed as undead Digimon that despise the living and want to exterminate all life. I guess Phantomon would count since it's basically the Grim Reaper of the digital world, though Metal Phantomon might be a bigger contender, since in the anime it actively looks for victims. Bug. So obvious candidates for the bug type would be little creepy crawlies like Wormmon, Kudamon, basically any larva type Digimon. Shellnumamon could also count as a bug type, even though I'm sure some people out there would say that mollusks don't count as bugs. Giant insects like Dokugamon and Scorpiomon could also count as bug types, possibly poison bug type, since Dokugamon is a giant spider and Scorpiomon is a scorpion. More humanoid insects like Stingmon and Tiger Vespamon would be fighting bug. Tentomon, Kunamon, Carpetariamon, and Beetlemon would all be electric bug, due to all three of them having electrical attacks, while Kokuamon, being more of an insectoid robot than an actual insect, would be steel bug. Shadramon, firebug, due to its habit of using flames while in combat. Fellow Armor Evolution Digimon would be bug ground, due to having drills on its hands and face like Dromojimon. Funny thing, I always thought Digimon was based on mosquitoes, but after actually thinking on it, it just might be based on mole crickets. Fighting. Leomon would be an obvious fighting type, as would his evolved forms like Bancho-Leomon and Grapple-Leomon, and his countless variants. To follow Leomon, his rival Ogremon, and probably his pre-evolved form Gabimon, would most likely be dark fighting, as they are Digimon that pick on the weak and defenseless, while using underhanded means in combat. Fugamon, though, I would just type as mono fighting. I think both variants of Weregarurumon would be dark fighting, due to being a combination of werewolf and possibly kickboxer. Gaomon would most definitely be a fighting type, being based on boxers and having several boxing themed moves. And Kotamon would obviously be a fighting type, being a practitioner of Kendo, while one of his evolved forms, Dinohumon, is a Native American with bladed weapons. Spartamon is a special case, being classified as a weapon Digimon, due to being able to transform himself into a bladed weapon for the Digimon to use. Psychic. This might be a strange one to open with, but I think Digimon could be a psychic type. He physically looks like a wise old hermit. Plus, in the first game, he pretty much transports a kid to the digital world. I guess I'll follow him up with Babamon, who's based on a witch. And the magic powers and psychic abilities are pretty much interchangeable in fiction. Vetamon could be seen as a psychic type due to that gigantic brain and intellect it has. Plus, aliens are usually depicted as having some sort of mental powers. There's also its evolved form, Ibibon, although now that it has a more robotic body, it's gone from being a mono psychic type to a steel psychic type. Another brainy Digimon is Wisemon, a holy Digimon who resides in the book filled with his own knowledge. The highest form of Wisemon is Ancient Wisemon, basically a sentient mirror that has the ability to summon spirits from other dimensions. Baronmon Digimon, Sepicmon, and Shamanmon are all based on shamans that can commune with God and can see into the depths of the past, present, and future. Though Sepicmon is more based on witch doctors due to its mask and constantly being in contact with spirits. Digimon classified as wizards would also be psychic types, such as Wizardmon, Flowizardmon, Mistimon, and Piedmon. Piedmon is said to be a shapeshifter, and in the anime is depicted as being able to levitate and control his swords via magic. Using his magical abilities, Flowizardmon can ignite the 2 giant matchsticks he always carries with him, and Mistimon is a master of sorcery and swordsmanship, able to combine his 2 crafts in combat. Finally, Renamon had split evolutions would most certainly be psychic types, due to being based on Kitsune of Japanese mythology. I always sort of thought that Renamon was a telepath in the dub, since I never saw her physically speak, but now I know her mouth was always just out of sight. That being said, Renamon are able to fold space in around them to phase in and out of sight, and their highest set in Digimon World 3 is spirituality. Taomon and Domon are based on the practitioner of, and I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing this, on Myoto, which includes divination, astronomy, and magic. Sakuyamon and Kuzahamon are both shaman that fight with fox magic. Sakuyamon even has an advanced form, which sees her wear the robes of a priestess. And if Inuyasha has taught me anything, it's that monks, priests, priestesses, and shrine maidens are pretty much fueled by spiritual powers. Water. There are a ton of fish and aquatic Digimon out there who would qualify to be water type. Splashmon Darkness Mode would obviously count, since it's literally a giant tiger made of water. The Gomamon line, Gomamon being a seal and Kakamon being a giant walrus. Zumon would probably be water fighting, due to having a more anthropomorphic build, as would Pukamon, who's a pufferfish with fists. I suppose Ancient Mermon would also count, due to being a legendary warrior of the franchise's lore. Marine Angemon would be water fairy, and Marine Devimon would be water dark. Being based on a frog's life pattern, amphibious Digimon like Otamamon and Betamon would obviously be water types. Seedramon and Mega Seedramon would be water dragon Digimon, as both are giant sea serpents. Plesiamon would also be water dragon type, due to being based on the Plesiosaur dragon. To no one's surprise, Dragamon would be a mono dragon type, due to being a literal dragon child. I guess Demi-Vmon would also count, since he's just Vmon but chibi, and I always thought Gundramon looked a little like a dragon, so I'll give him the dragon type too. Metal Seedramon would be steel dragon, since it goes from an organic sea serpent to having been converted into an android. He's machine now more than man. I mean, Digimon. War Greymon would be Dragon Steel due to receiving cybernetic enhancements, as would Metal Greymon. Now, because of the 2020 reboot making Machinedramon an alternate evolution for Metal Greymon, this typing would be reversed, since it's organic tissue being converted into cold, hard machinery. Vmon would be Dragon Fighting, since his signature attack is a headbutt, and his evolutions Aero Veedramon and X-Vmon would be Flying Dragon due to now possessing wings. The Veedramon would be Dark Dragon, due to literally being dragons with demon traits. Dark Tyrannomon would also have this typing, since it was originally a regular Tyrannomon that got corrupted by a computer virus. War Greymon would be Dragon Fighting, due to having a much more humanoid build than his previous evolutions, being clad in armor and possessing weapons on his arms. Being based on a samurai, Simondramon would also be Dragon Fighting. Electric. Let's see, what kind of Digimon could be electric type? Oh! Pulsemon and Bulkmon! These two just look like they'd be electric types. Incredibly speedy like any good electric type should be. And fight with electrical discharges. I did say that Beetlemon was electric bug due to being a warrior of thunder, even though thunder is more of a noise than electrical current. But his evolved form, Metal Kabuterimon, would be electric steel, since one of his signature attacks is firing a pair of electric bolas. Thunderballmon's just that. A little ball of electricity. Being so small and incredibly fast, his opponents are rarely able to keep their eyes on him for long. Cinderamon could possibly count as electric flying, since it takes the form of a rooster and feeds off electricity to increase its size. The electricity it consumes is then stored in the weapon on its back and utilized in combat. at least in the anime. Another electric flying type Digimon would be Thunderbirdmon, which aspires to be the edgiest thing in the skies. And since we just talked about two avian Digimon, that makes the perfect segue into trying to figure out which Digimon could possibly be flying types. I could just label every bird Digimon as flying, but Kiwimon and Daramon are flightless. Kiwimon because it's based on the kiwi bird, and I assume the bush growing out of Daramon's back weighs it down. There's also Peckmon, who's based on birds like the emu and ostrich, so it can't fly, although its evolved form Crowmon can. Weird. Bird Digimon that can fly would be Hakamon, Phakamon, Quillamon, Parrotmon, Swanmon, and Toucanmon. Now, flying Digimon that aren't birds are Patamon, Poyomon, Griffinmon, Nefertimon, Sylphimon, Zephyrmon, Sparrowmon, and Ancient Irismon, who is the ancient warrior of the wind, and ancestor to all bird and fairy Digimon. Then there are the giant insects like Snymon and Kawagamon, who would of course be Flying Bug. Harpymon and Sirenmon are both based on Greek myths about creatures that are half human, half bird. Yes, some ancient Greek myths described sirens as being half bird, rather than just Greek mermaids. I suppose people confused them too much with harpies, and that's why their description was changed. But Sirenmon keeps true to the old tales of sirens having beautiful singing voices. On the subject of Greek mythology, Unimon and Pegasusmon are based on a winged unicorn and the winged horse Pegasus. I am legit surprised that Bronies never tried to claim that Unimon was an alicorn. Probably failed their sexiness test. I was in the Brony fandom, I can say that. I'd type BMI's Fire Flying, since its Spiral Twister attack is just that. A Spiral Twister of green flames. Plus it evolves into a literal giant fire bird, Bergramon. And its mega form is Phoenixmon. The humanoid Garudamon would be fighting flying, despite its signature attack being a literal flaming bird. And I'll give the same typing to Buraimon and Butemon, who are based on samurai. At last, we come to Digimon who'd qualify to be normal type. Quite a good number of in-training Digimon would be this type, as well as Digimon that could pass as household pets like Labramon. Then there are the cat Digimon like Gatomon, Mikimon, and Betsymon, the cat everyone would love to forget exists. Beastmon is an interesting case. Originally called Persiamon, this literal cat girl brings to mind of a Persian belly dancer. Mostly her oversized pants, her veil, and her hair. There's also Persian, the breed of cat. Then she was named Bastemon. Bastet is an Egyptian goddess associated with cats, and often depicted as either having the face or head of a cat or lioness. Monzemon strikes me like it would be a normal type. Teddy bears are pretty common. Koemon looks like it's a distant relative of Apom, so normal. Terriermon and Lopmon are based on a long-eared dog and a rabbit, so they'd also be normal. Cardboard boxes are everyday normal things, so Bakamon would be this type. Another normal everyday thing are hamburgers, so yeah, Burgermon and Eddie Burgermon would also be normal. Well, this took a longer time to record than most of my other videos. Boy, editing is sure gonna be fun on the bun. But what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree with my typing choices? This is Night Eye saying thanks for letting me share my thoughts. Please share yours with me.